6:25 p.m. And of course, in Johannesburg, where we have our permanent correspondent who runs the South Connect slot from that end. His name is Solomon Atah. And of course, Solomon will be telling us about the National Women's Month, which is August. Then the National Women's Day, which is the 9th of August. And of course, how women have been faring in that part of the world this month. Solomon Atah, welcome to African Cocktail.
58 years ago, the year was 1956, when 20,000 South African women from all walks of life and all races marched onto the Union buildings in Pretoria to hand over a protest memorandum to Prime Minister Strydom. Among the key demands was to ask the Prime Minister to exclude the women from the past laws and also to release all leaders of all political formations. That single event proved to be a key moment in the women's movement and in the history of this country. The march has also contributed in creating a different consciousness amongst women and gender issues in South Africa. In 1994, as the democratic dispensation is ushered in, the 9th of August every year has been celebrated as National Women's Day. As such, the month of August has also been dedicated to the women of this country. This yearly event is used by government to reiterate its policies towards the protection and the advancement of women. The event is also used to point out the various contributions and the huge role women play in the life of the nation. Civil society organizations echo these calls in a bid to highlight the issues affecting women. To talk on these agendas are issues such as gender-based violence, especially that which is targeted towards women and girls. As the crowd gathered at venues across the country, President Jacob Zuma, who was keynote speaker at celebrations at the Union buildings, called on all South Africans to continue to work in order to fulfill goal number 3 of the Millennium Development Goals, which is promoting gender equality and empowering women. As the country pulls the curtains on the 2014 Women's Day celebrations, the question remains whether MDG goal number 3 will be met before the 503 days deadline. This has been Solomon Atah for African Cocktail in Pretoria.
Solomon, you are not going yet. One question for you, Solomon. Our main guest in this edition of the show is a media executive who runs Africally Speaking magazine. I just want to find out how women are doing in that sector in South Africa. Do we have women who operate in this business? And how has the South African media environment been to the woman, Solomon?
Yes, Ernest, there are several women that are participating in the magazine sector of journalism here in South Africa. Most of the magazines in South Africa, like you would remember the very famous magazine, the Drum magazine,
right,
has been here since more than 50 years, and there was a film made on that particular magazine and its journalistic exploit by a film director called Zola Maseko.
Right.
Recently, over the past 7 years, there is a magazine that has been published called Destiny Woman. This is like a high-end magazine targeting the young professionals and also the seasoned professionals. And there are several others like the Afropolitan, which is targeting and talking to the specific black middle class or the African middle class, whereby you have professionals and well-educated people. So, yes, there are several magazines. In fact, South Africa is a very flourishing environment for magazine and also for the magazine business.
Right. Solomon, thank you so much. We hope to have you again next week for yet another handsome package from Johannesburg. And that was South Connect with our man, Solomon Atah. Then for those of you who have just joined us, you're listening to African Cocktail, the 61st episode, coming to you from Africa Radio with your Wednesday friend, Ernest Kanjo. Then we have Nfor as main guest in this edition of the show. Then we shall make a stopover in Germany, where we're going to meet another young, talented African. Don't just go away. Let's keep our fingers crossed as we await to meet this gentleman.